Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Thanks for joining the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe.
On this show, we take a look back at the movies of yesteryear.
That means we're going to talk about some of the best movies from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s.
So thank you for joining us. Now let's get it started in here.
This is the Backlook Cinema Podcast, and I thank you for joining me. This is Zoe, and I wanted to talk to you about a movie that just came out, and that movie is Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Now, I just want to say, I want to put this out front right now. If you didn't like the original movie, Venom, you're probably not going to like Venom, Let There Be Carnage. However, if some part of you actually enjoyed Venom, then I think that you will be pleased with Venom, Let There Be Carnage. And I have to say, in all of the corniness and campiness of Venom, I actually did enjoy it. And I would say that this movie is moderately better. Like, it's not some vast, great improvement, but I think there is a consistency of tone that makes this movie more palatable, right? So, it's a somewhat campy movie. It doesn't take itself all that seriously. It's very funny. The banter between Venom and Eddie Brock. It's kind of a buddy cop movie / romance between a human and his alien symbiote. Imagine a buddy cop movie if one of the cops actually inhabited or was a parasite to the other cop, or was possessed by the other cop in some instances. So that's what we're dealing with in this movie. So as in most buddy cop movies, you have the cops, they're basically forced to team together, and they don't always get along. They get into a fight, they break up, and then they find a way to get back together to take down the criminal, which in this case is Carnage, being played by Woody Harrelson. So let's break down who's all in this movie. So you have Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock, Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy, Michelle Williams as Anne Weying, Naomi Harris as Frances Barrison, Reed Scott as Dr. Don Lewis, Stephen Graham as Detective Mulligan, and returning from the first movie, Peggy Lou as Mrs. Chen. And she was delightful in this movie. So this was directed by Andy Serkis, and I didn't realize that, he's really directed several movies. I didn't think that this was his first movie, but at the same time, I didn't know that he directed as many as he has. So he has 7 movies and projects under his credit. He directed Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle, The Ruins of Empires, Breathe, and he also directed this game called Heavenly Sword, which I did not realize. I came out all the way back in 2007. It's a game that I had played, and it was thoroughly enjoyable. The writers of this movie were Kelly Marcel. That was a screenplay, and Tom Hardy did the story, and this is and others. So I guess there were a bunch of people who contributed to this story. So I just want to say I think Tom Hardy did an outstanding job as Eddie Brock. Basically, he's kind of if you can imagine, like a body actor, somebody like Jim Carrey, who really uses his body acting out his performances. So I think that the special effects were much improved. I think that the overall music was much improved. The soundtrack, I think, was fantastic. So let me look up the music real quick. It was very noticeable. I noticed that with both the music and the overall tone of the film, I think that it will remind you of something like Spider-Man, that the Maguire Spider-Man. It kind of gives you that feeling, and it kind of has some of the campiness of the Batman 1989 film that was directed by Tim Burton. So would you combine the music and the overall cinematography, that I think that is the feeling that you're going to get. Also something with the campiness of the campiness of the stories, the line that the actors deliver, like all of that, I think contributes to how this movie works together. I do think that Woody Harrelson was overacting a little bit. I think that the hair and makeup, it kind of needs a little work. It's like I'm not really paying attention to all of that stuff. I'm just trying to go to a movie to be entertained. So if I can notice it, then it must not be well. It's not super fantastic if I can look at a movie and be distracted by hair and makeup. And specifically, that was applied to Woody Harrelson and the man that played the police captain, Stephen Graham. He also has funny kind hair. So those were the things that had got me, that I noticed. So that's the most I can say about this movie. That if you love the first one, you'll like this one. If you didn't love the first one, you will not like this one. But I will say there was some standout performances by Tom Hardy. There was some overacting by Woody Harrelson. There was some bad hair and makeup, and there was some campiness that will remind you of Batman 1989 with the overall atmosphere that will remind you of the Spider-Man that Tobey Maguire had starred in. If you do go see this movie, do not skip out on the mid-credit scenes. There might be a post-credit scene, but I didn't stay long enough to see, but there is definitely a very significant mid-credit scene that you will need to pay attention to. So those are my thoughts on this movie. And so I just want you to go out there knowing what so that you know what to expect. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll catch you on the regular episodes of the Backlook Cinema podcast.